So a few Sundays ago, we focused on navigating changes, those we could control and those we can't control. But sometimes change in Mother Nature is experienced most in the autumn season. Autumn and spring are our biggest transformation times. And while those of us living in Florida, we aren't exposed to all of the elements of seasonal change, but we know the seasons have changed. We see it. There are cooler temperatures. All the foliage around us has a different look. But autumn isn't just about seasonal change. It is about spiritual transformation. It is absolutely the time in which we can change and transform ourselves and grow ourselves spiritually if we can understand how autumn reflects our lives. I want to read this from an article called The Spirituality of the Autumn Equinox by Wesley Baines. Autumn holds a spiritually unique place. Many mistake the mystery and decline that surrounds and follows the autumn equinox for darkness and evil. But in reality, it is about endings in a very natural way. Every journey must find its end, and fall is the bittersweet embodiment of this. Darkness exists in all of us. We are flawed, imperfect human beings. Darkness ignored grows and takes over like a cancer. It is only when that darkness is dragged into light that we can actually overcome it. Autumn is the time to face this darkness, a physical reminder of that which we must develop within ourselves. Fall, paradoxically, is a time of simultaneous bounty and withering. Crops are harvested even as the natural world begins to fade. If we make sure to align ourselves to the progression of the seasons, fall can serve the same purpose in our lives, but on a spiritual level. Now, in many ways, autumn is reflected in our lives are reflected by what's happening in autumn. For example, release. Let's just take release. The same way those trees release their leaves and know when it's time to let go, that these no longer can stay. That's something that we can do in this season by letting go of things we've been holding on to that no longer serve value to us. We talked about this yesterday in this workshop on metaphysical healing. And we choose the stories we're carrying forward. We choose that same burden of thought. It's up to us to choose what to let go of. But sometimes you just need to let it happen without controlling it. Just like the trees do. When we let go of our burdens and we let God lead the way, we are at peace because we are not trying to steer and control the outcomes. Autumn is about balance. It's one of my favorite parts of autumn. It brings balance. Lots of us see that between the darkness and the light. You know, the summer months we're in the light so much more. But in the fall, we're in the darkness. It's a chance for us to do more reflection. It's a chance for us to balance our lives. It's an opportunity to get more rest and to take that giant pause that we all need to renew before we transform again in the spring. Another great lesson I find in autumn is the reminder that nothing in our lives is permanent. How many people have experienced that just recently with 2 hurricanes? How many of us have experienced loss? The ultimate truth of that is no one stays forever, and nothing, not even our plants, stay forever. Everything has to be from that consciousness of impermanence. And we need to live our lives knowing that everything will change, as it should, for us to grow, just like Jana in that story I shared. The best gifts come from the unexpected challenges that we face in life. And just as the earth is in this constant state of change, life is going to change, and sometimes in the blink of an eye. But we tend to get so attached to everyone and everything in our lives that we resist change. And as we've talked about in the past, our resistance to change is nothing more than our fears. If we trusted God as much as we said, if we truly believe we're all children of God and we're spiritual people, we would have no fear. But the truth is we're human, and that's where the human flaw comes in. That's where the human lessons come in. That's where we get our insights, is from these experiences where we have to deal with sudden and unexpected stuff. But if our faith is strong enough, and if we do enough spiritual reflection to strengthen ourselves, we can survive it and thrive from it, and wait for the next lesson to be revealed in our lives. You know, we get older. As we get older, we cling to these self-images. We all know, those of us who are aging, I know some of us aren't, but those of us who are aging, we see it. We see it, but we cling to what we were instead of what we can be. Why don't we ever think about what can I be instead of why do I have that wrinkle? What can I be on the inside? And if I'm that on the inside, how will I transform my self-image to be a happier and healthier person who has nothing but pure love to share with the rest of the world? Isn't that better than the self part? Susan Jeffers, in Embracing Uncertainty, shares a practice of Tibetan monks that I love. If I had the guts to sleep on the floor every night, I would do it. I don't yet. I'm transforming. But she explains that if you go to a monastery, Tibetan monks go to bed at night and they turn teacups over next to them, upside down. And the idea is to remind them that all life is impermanent. Then when they wake up in the morning, they turn the cups up to remind themselves they're still here. Nothing needed to hold on to. I'm still here. And one of my favorite reminders in the autumn season is the changing of the colors of the trees. We all love that. We don't see a ton of it here. And but we know it happens, and we do see signs of it. But it's more than about what the trees do with their leaves. What I want you to understand is that regardless of the weather, regardless of what's happening, even in the hurricanes, we saw this, that trees reflect strength and resilience and their ability to bud and bloom and display all these characteristics. But when they shed their leaves, they are completely vulnerable to all the elements, stripped of all what hides them. And I love that reference that we have those experiences from happiness to heartbreak But we, in those moments, become so vulnerable to the elements of life. We are exposed. And it's in our deepest, darkest moments that when we are exposed, we transform the best. That's when we really understand life. There's a beautiful message in Ecclesiastes in the chapter 3. You've all heard it in a song, but I'm going to read the words. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. I love that message because it reminds us that our life journey reflects that whole balance of everything I just read. And we are the ones who need to reap the harvest of those experiences. You know, there's divine symbolism in the gifts demonstrated to us through Mother Nature. Maybe we could learn to be more reflective as we slow down our activities just a bit and get out of the busy season. And maybe, I know the holidays get busy, but we can be more reflective in that darkness. And that extra rest. Next week you get an extra hour. Use it for your good. Don't add it to your to-do list. The idea of spending more time indoors, especially in the cooler months, is a chance for us to pray more and spend time in that way. And another aspect of the season is embracing the harvest of the earth's supply. Harvesting is a reminder of the process of planting in faith and trusting that what we have planted will come to fruition. It's important to be grateful for what has been harvested from the earth and in our lives. It is no coincidence, by the way, that Thanksgiving occurs during the harvest season. Just like the leaves, we're going to learn the importance of letting go. But I want you to remember you don't control Mother Nature any more than you get to control what happens in your life. Our lives are going to evolve through every single season of life, from our birth until the end. And we are definitely going to be transformed. I want to go back to Wesley's article and end with this. How can we get in touch with the spiritual side of autumn in our contemporary age? By being mindful and being present. Turn off your devices. Take a walk. Make your pilgrimage of leaves. Being mindful of the color of sky and grass and leaf and stone, of the feel of the air, of the scents and the textures and sights around you. As you do so, ask yourself, what do I need to release? What are my burdens? Pay attention to what nature is doing around you. After all, everything has a purpose, including the changing of our seasons. They remind us to keep changing, to not allow ourselves to be stagnant. Let's review our lessons for today. Through spiritual reflections for autumn, we can learn to let go of our burdens and let God lead the way. We can establish balance and align to the flow of nature. We can recognize impermanence. For everything there is a season. And number 4, experience the gifts of renewal. Our highest good awaits us. Our affirmation with this season, I am renewed. Let's say that together. With this season, I am renewed. Let's say that like you mean it. With this season, I am renewed. Much better, thank you. This is our quote, it was from Take 10. When you are transitioning to a new season of life, the people and situations that no longer fit you will fall away. Let's take that in for a moment. So we pause now to reflect upon the importance of spiritual reflection and transformation in the season of autumn. We embrace release and the ability to balance our lives. We look at ways that we can invite Spirit to help us grow and think more about our inner growth now than we do the outside. And so we say, thank you, God, for all that we are capable of doing and for the opportunity to choose what we reflect upon. Amen.